And welcome back to 3 Up, 3 Downs AL East Division Breakdown. Our final team for the AL East. They finished in last place. We went head to toe in order of last season's standings. The Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox finishing fifth in the AL East. Something seemingly it's either they come back and win the World Series after finishing last in the division, or finish like second. It's weird, and then last place again. So it's been a weird trend of this Boston Red Sox team. But the fact is, they added a ton. So let's look at it. Starting at DH, potentially third base when Rafi's not out there. Justin Turner, unfortunately, did just get hit in the face by a pitch in spring training. Should be okay after some facial. I don't know if it was a full facial fracture, but
I don't think no broken bones, but 16 stitches.
yeah, a scary sight when you definitely when you take a. I don't know if it was a heater, but scary stuff when you take a pitch right in the face. Also added to this roster, Adam Duvall signed from Atlanta after a big year mashing the ball.
Masataka
Yoshida from Japan signed a big ticket with this Boston Red Sox. Probably the biggest addition of the free agent period for this team. Bringing in the international signing, hopefully bringing some big numbers to that left field spot for this Red Sox team. In terms of the starting nine out there, in terms of what's out in the field, those are the big additions. In terms of their projected bench, they added big-time hitter Jorge Alfaro, most likely behind the plate when Reese McGuire isn't there, former White Sox catcher. And then to the rotation we go. The only real addition after losing a few guys, Corey Kluber, the ageless wonder. Corey Kluber, in his 37th-year-old season, looks to be the second starter for this Boston Red Sox rotation. And then we look at the bullpen. The bullpen. They added former Dodgers All-Star closer Kenley Jensen, former Dodger Chris Martin, former Met Joely Rodriguez, and former Miami Marlin Richard Blyer. On the IR from the Kansas City Royals via trade in January, they did add Alberto Mondesi after some knee surgery in May. We'll see what the timetable is for Mondesi. I believe he will play in this 2022 season. Also on that IR, Trevor Story. After picking Story and Devers over Xander Bogaerts in the offseason, the big question surrounding this Boston franchise, Trevor Story starts the year off after elbow surgery, looking to hopefully come back in the second half of the season, but reality is he may not play at all. He's hopeful it'll be a second half return, but we'll see. It's kind of the big story to this Boston season. What do you got on this roster as we finally wrap up the additions?
Yeah, so let's start with the lineup. They lose Bogaerts, they lose JD Martinez. Pretty big losses.
Power.
Kind of staples of this Red Sox team for a while now.
Yep.
They signed Masataka Yoshida, Justin Turner. Yoshida's expected to come in and have an impact. So is Justin Turner, but he's 38 now. Just got in the face. Tristan Casas, a rookie who comes with some good pedigree, expected to fill in a big role at that first base position, which has seemingly been just vacant for a while.
Well, it felt like it was Bobby Dalbec's to take, and he just hasn't.
He didn't take it. And Tristan Casas, they're hoping will, And I don't know, he might. I think he's looked pretty good through the minors and expected to be a good player, but we'll see. I just look at this team, and I think especially in the context that they are in the AL East, I don't think they got better. I think they're going to realize how big of a loss Bogaerts was. You still have good players there. My big issue is I don't see power anywhere in this lineup. Obviously, Devers is one of the premier hitters in baseball. He's going to hit for power. Adam Duvall, a guy who can get hot and hit some homers. But again, I'm not a guy you want to rely on as your second home run hitter. I like the Masataka Yoshida signing for the player. I think he's an interesting player, a guy who I was kind of interested in just to see where he'd go in the offseason because, I always like guys who walk as much as they strike out. He walked like 4 times more than he struck out. He doesn't strike out. But he's not power. And for me, it'll be cool to see him play. I just don't know if he fills the holes that are really needed by this Red Sox roster to be filled. This lineup just doesn't excite me. I think Reese McGuire is a negative. We've seen him in the lineup. He's not good.
We've seen him in both lineups, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's just not a good player. It's a lot of, if they're going to be good, this lineup's going to have to all hit for a lot of average. They're going to have to run the base as well. And things are just going to have to click.
Yep.
And I don't like betting on that. And I think the new era of baseball where people are hitting for the home run has proven that things don't always click. And that's why the home run's so valuable, because it can just make things click with one swing of the bat. I don't think they have that in this lineup. I don't know. I mean, we talked about, you mentioned like the Red Sox will seemingly go from worst to first just randomly. I don't think they made the additions needed to do that. It's a good team. Don't get me wrong, it's a good team. But in this division, I think we're not looking at the playoffs this year because the lineup just isn't there.
Well, and we haven't even talked about the rotation.
Yeah.
I know we said there's question marks surrounding this Orioles rotation, but I think this is even worse than that Orioles rotation. And I say that because you don't know what you're going to expect out of Chris Sale.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent pitcher, has all the stuff in the world, but 140 innings pitched. That's what Fangraphs projects. Maybe 60, maybe 80. Realistic expectations have to be set with Chris Sale, especially in a Boston Red Sox uniform. And the fact is, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. And then you go and add nothing against the ageless wonder Corey Kluber, but the fact is, it's not going to be a guy that gets you an AL title being your second pitcher. And then you got Nick Pivetta, Tanner Houck, and Cutter Crawford. Cutter Crawford pitching in his first career year as a rookie. Tanner Houck after about a year of service, and Nick Pivetta with 4. All guys that are floating around a 4 ERA. All guys that aren't going to eat up a ton of innings for this Boston team. Meaning they're going to have to rely on that rotation. I think the biggest addition to this team was probably the rotation. Does that expect and excel them to this next level? No, because the fact is, your best player in that addition was Kenley Jansen, and you're going to expect him in the closing role. And if you're losing games, you're not going to be throwing Kenley Jansen. So I don't know, this Boston team. I personally, looking at it, I hate it, to be completely honest. I really don't love this roster. I think this is a team that doesn't show a competitive ounce of baseball throughout the season. And I know that's a tough thing to say.
No, I get it, and I think I get it. I think they're probably an above average team in baseball. Maybe they're probably an average team.
I think is this team better than? We'll get there in the AL Central, but is this team better than the Tigers? Is this team better than?
Yeah, they're better than the Tigers probably, but that's the conversation we're having, right? Yeah, Chris Sale's probably not going to pitch a full year. I would love to see him do it. I mean, I love watching Chris Sale pitch. I think everyone does. But you can't expect that. Corey Kluber, you referred to him as the ageless wonder. He was for a little bit, but he has aged. Nick Pivetta I kind of like. I think they got a lot out of him last year, but again, a number 4 to 5 starter on a good team. Tanner Houck, I don't know how to pronounce his name yet. Really good stuff. Kind of an exciting pitcher to watch. Mm-hmm. I think for the Red Sox, that's going to be like a fun thing. Like, I know when your team isn't really contending, which I don't expect this team to be contending. Sorry, they might, but I don't expect it. Tanner Houck is going to be a start you want to watch because he's got stuff. He's got potential to be like a number 2 starter, but a really good number 2 starter. Like that's not a slight. Cutter Crawford, I don't really expect much. I think he's going to be a 4th, 5th starter for a while, which is good. But I don't expect much. There's no excitement other than the return of Chris Sale in this rotation, and I don't think this rotation is going to fare well in the AL East. I just don't. I think it's going to get hammered. I think these are a lot of hittable pitchers with a lot of really good lineups that they're going to have to play. I don't know how they hold up, especially when we move into the bullpen. It's just not a good bullpen. No. Kenley Jansen is 3 years past his prime, we'll say.
Yeah, and entering his 35th, he may be 36 by the end of the year. Yeah. Chris Martin, 37. John Schneider, who the hell are you? Joey Rodriguez.
They have one guy under 29 and a lot of 35-year-olds.
And that could be the fact that we see a lot of guys coming from AAA and pitching in this bullpen for the Red Sox. That would be the expectation. But this, just, like I said, I just don't see this being a competitive roster.
When's the last time they've developed a pitcher that we've been excited about?
It's hopefully Tanner Houck.
Tanner Houck is the most exciting pitcher, but like their bullpen was garbage last year,
Yep.
and I would expect it to be garbage again this year. I don't think they have one good reliever, and that's not a slight on Kenley Jansen. He's just expected to be a closer. I don't think he's a good closer anymore. He's an average closer at this point, and if he goes out and has a great year, I won't be surprised because it is Kenley Jansen.
And we'll bite our tongue about it.
And he's a Hall of
We've
Famer.
got no problem with
like
that.
Kenley Jansen is more than likely a Hall of Famer because he's been an elite closer on some of the best teams in baseball. But he's not that anymore. I struggle to see the excitement about this team. Having a lot of money tied up in Trevor Story isn't that great. If I'm the Red Sox, there's like a couple things I'm watching for. Devers, have a good year. Yoshida, have a good year. Prove he's worth the money. Verdugo, I think we know what we're getting with Verdugo. Like, that's the thing. I don't really see many breakouts. Casas, establish a first baseman for the Red Sox. Like, there's a lot of really good pieces here. Like, if you're a team that we're projecting to finish last, and you have Devers, like
you said it though. The first baseman for the Boston Red Sox. David Ortiz held the position for as long as he did.
Yeah.
That is a position. It's first baseman of the New York Yankees, first baseman of the Boston Red Sox. That's what kids dream to be. Fill the role. Find it. Because the fact is, who's your X factor?
My X factor, I'm gonna go with. It's a tough. It's really tough. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Masataka Yoshida because I like the player, and I think if they find a guy who can be a piece for the next 5 years, this is a team that has shown that they can spend and they can turn things around quickly. We've seen that time and time again.
Well, you got LeBron part of the ownership. They're going to have to try and make something happen.
Exactly. But Masataka Yoshida, establish yourself as a core piece for the next 5 years. I think that's my X factor. And he's my X factor not to make the playoffs. Let me make that clear. So my X factor is a successful season for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Because if he's tied up for $80 million, I think they have him for 4 or 5 years, and they had to purchase him because that's how the Japanese leagues work. It's kind of like soccer. That's just a lot of money tied up, and I think if you have Story being underwhelming and injured, and Yoshida, that's not how you want to build a team going forward with all the money tied up into nothing. So let's see it. I'm excited to watch him play. I don't really know what he's going to bring. He's going to bring a good contact bat. I can tell you that. What else? Let's see.
No, the only reason I don't want to pick him is I got to let the guy adjust. I got to let him get a breather for American soil, a little bit of American ball. It's a different baseball. It takes an adjustment period.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give him a year. Love him being my X factor here in 12 months from now.
Okay.
Rafi Devers. I think the fact is, if this team needs a savior on the season, needs someone to kind of be that spark plug, it's got to be Rafi Devers. And the fact is, it's a spark plug to not finish in the bottom 5 of the AL conference or league. Sorry,
division.
Well, the AL period.
Oh, the AL,
yeah. No, I've got this team in the bottom 5 of the AL.
Yeah, I think it's not wrong.
Finally, our predictions, and then you can kind of already guess where we're heading with this. I've got them bottom 5 in the AL. Bottom of the AL East, Boston Red Sox, worst in the AL East.
Yeah, I'm going to follow you. Same pick. I just don't see how this team outperforms at least the top 3. But I just haven't seen them develop players at the same rate that they used to. I don't see homegrown players coming at the same frequency. Maybe Casas proves me wrong here this year. I just don't see upside here.
I get it.
It's a lacking roster.
I believe it.
Especially for this division.
I see it. I emphasize it. I praise it. Boston Red Sox, what are we going to do? What's going to be the response? We'll see. But that wraps up our AL East division breakdown. We hope you guys appreciate it. We've got much more in store for you. We're going to try and release at least 1 this week, but hopefully 2 as we lead up towards the start of this regular season. Go check out some World Baseball Classic action as that started earlier this week.
Yep.
Go comment, Boston Red Sox fans, because we've been the most controversial on any team of the night, any team of the pod, any team of the breakdowns so far with this Boston Red Sox team. We want to feel how passionate you're feeling about this team, how underperforming you think they may be, or how overperforming you think they may do. Let us know in the comments. Check us out. Follow us on Instagram, Twitch, all the social media platforms. Check out Armdog at Northside_Sox. Check me out at SiffyMan Anything else to finish off our AL East division breakdowns?
Tweet at us if you don't like the pick, and don't take it as disrespectful. We're White Sox fans, so we're as cynical about the other Sox.
And we'll be as harsh. We'll be as harsh as we are with the white version of the Sox.
Yeah, and if you're upset by this, I would love to hear why, because maybe we're missing something.
Maybe we are. Maybe we are. Maybe we are. That concludes our AL East division breakdown. Talk soon.